Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Levy. It's my distinct privilege to serve as the 10th chair of the board of the Legal Services Corporation, and so wonderful to be here with you in Colorado. On behalf of our outstanding LSC board, most of whom are here with us today, including Colorado and Denver's own remarkable Julie Riskin, who is the co-executive director of Colorado's Cross Disability Coalition. Julie's right there. I welcome you. I welcome you to this special forum on increasing access to justice. We at LSC extend our heartiest congratulations to Colorado Legal Services on the momentous occasion of your 100th anniversary. And LSC is honored to be jointly hosting this event with Colorado Legal Services and the Legal Aid Foundation of Colorado. They're both doing, as you know, fantastic work here in this magnificent state, and we're all looking forward to learning more about that work today. We'll be privileged to hear a fireside chat between the outstanding former director of Colorado Legal Services, John Asher, and his terrific successor, Matt Baca. Our program will also feature a video from Nicole Ponzer, a client board member of Colorado Legal Services. We look forward to hearing her story. And finally, we'll have an illuminating panel regarding the rural justice gap. The panel will be moderated by LSC's stellar president, Ron Flagg, and feature some experts in the field who are working hard here in Colorado to expand access to justice. Well, Colorado Legal Services' 100th anniversary comes this year, just the year after LSC's 50th anniversary. Being such a long-running, successful legal aid organization, what you have here in Colorado has been a shining example to other legal aid organizations all across our country and a beacon of hope for tens of thousands of people who benefit from your work every year. It was almost 15 years ago that our board last convened here in Denver, and at that time, John Walsh, Colorado's longest-serving U.S. attorney, made the compelling observation, and I quote him, that just as no person should be above the law, no person should be below it. This idea that no American is below the law is a core promise of our nation. At the heart of LSC's mission, established on July 25, 1974, when Richard Nixon signed the LSC Act to, quote, help provide equal access to the system of justice in our nation and to provide high-quality legal assistance to those who would otherwise be unable to afford legal counsel. Of the corporation the LSC Act created, Nixon said, here each day, the old, the unemployed, the underprivileged, and the largely forgotten people of our nation may seek help. Well, over 50 years later, they are still seeking that help. And here in Colorado and across the nation every day, in fact, during these past 5 decades, our extraordinary network of providers has helped 75 million low-income Americans with their civil legal problems. And over these 100 years, Colorado Legal Services has assisted over 1 million low-income Coloradans. Think about that. Well, as you likely know, LSC is the nation's largest funder of civil legal aid, supporting 100 civil legal aid providers with over 900 offices in every county of every state, as well as the District of Columbia and the U.S. territories. These grantees provide high-quality legal services for more than 5 million low-income Americans annually, including more than 1 million children, over 200,000 survivors of domestic violence, and nearly 45,000 veterans. Currently, 16% of Americans qualify for LSC-funded assistance because their household income is at or below 125% of the federal poverty guideline. Unfortunately, as you may know, and LSC's recent Justice Gap report revealed, low-income Americans do not receive any or enough legal help for 92% of their substantial civil legal problems. And when you consider that that report also found that 74% of low-income households experience at least one civil legal problem a year, and 39%, whether 5 or more, well, you can see the magnitude of the challenge that lies before us. The year before he became Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States in 2017, Colorado's own Neil Gorsuch wrote in a compelling article for Judicature magazine on affordable access to justice, and I quote the justice, "Most everyone agrees that in the American civil justice system, many important legal rights go unvindicated. Serious losses remain uncompensated, and those called on to defend their conduct are often forced to spend altogether too much." Well, the chronic underfunding of LSC has helped to fuel this crisis in civil justice. Many of our grantees are forced to turn away half of the eligible applicants who seek their assistance because of a lack of resources. We were encouraged to hear of the creation of Colorado's Equal Justice Fund, signed into law by Governor Polis in June of last year. And this new fund is estimated to provide $2 million a year for legal assistance for Colorado's low-income population. Well, in addition to seeking more funding, LSC and its grantees have been working to develop other creative approaches to help narrow the justice gap. For the past 25 years, LSC has convened the only national conference focused exclusively on the use of technology to address the civil legal needs of low-income Americans. More than 700 people attended the conference earlier this year, and at that conference I saw firsthand the leadership of our grantees in the developing of uses of AI. Well, you can still register for next year's Innovations in Technology Conference. It's in San Antonio at the end of January. And of course, LSC's Technology Initiative Grants Program has played a major direct role in developing legal tech innovations since it was founded in 2000. Since its creation, the TIG program has awarded grants supporting technology initiatives to 924 projects across our country. In just the past 5 years, Colorado Legal Services has received 3 such awards to support their technology projects, including creation of comprehensive self-help website for increased cybersecurity and tech systems optimization, and for developing a system to collect client outcome data through text messaging, increasing the role of private lawyers in civil legal aid can also help to narrow the justice gap. You'll hear more about that significant effort here in Colorado at our reception following this forum. LSC's grantees are also collaborating with and learning from the medical community. 90 of our grantees across the country, including here in Colorado, now participate in some form of medical legal partnership, nearly 2/3 of the programs we fund. And finally, LSC convenes task forces to address and provide best practices for handling major issues affecting access to justice across the country. At the end of this month, our Rural Justice Task Force will release its final report and findings and recommendations to help our largely rural programs. The report is the result of input and expertise of people in rural areas all around the country, including Colorado. But of course, all of this good work requires financial investment. 30 years ago, Congress appropriated $400 million, 30 years ago, for LSC. Currently, our funding is at the level of $560 million. Much, much more is needed to close this significant justice gap after so many years of underfunding. In fact, our bipartisan LSC board voted unanimously to request from Congress $2.1 billion for LSC's fiscal year 2026 budget. But that's why it's particularly distressing to me, to our board and our grantees, that the House of Representatives voted to cut LSC by 46%, returning LSC's budget to a 1999 level and resulting in 3 million fewer Americans annually receiving legal assistance. But we're still hopeful because for their part, the Senate actually voted to slightly increase LSC's appropriation by $6 million for 2026. Well, as a recently released LSC analysis regarding the economic impact of civil legal services on the country, around the country, and you've got your own here, powerfully demonstrates, on average, civil legal services return to local economies $7 for every dollar invested in civil legal aid. Well, in case you haven't heard, we're in a shutdown. And you may also wonder, but I'm happy to assure you, our grantees are funded through the end of this year. Well, time will tell what resolution Congress will come to. But in the meantime, I'm hopeful that LSC's long history of bipartisan support, the incredibly valuable, irreplaceable work our grantees do, will not be forgotten. And we once again strongly implore Congress to increase the funding of LSC and its grantees. On the occasion of Colorado Legal Services' 100th anniversary, just following LSC's 50th, we now look to another milestone, our nation's 250th anniversary. And as we prepare for that next year, I just can't help but reflect on the belief of our country's founders that they held so strongly that ensuring access to justice was the foundation of a just society. Thomas Jefferson called it the most sacred of duties of government. George Washington believed it to be the firmest pillar of good government. James Madison called it the end of civil society. And as your own Chief Justice, Monica Marquez, compellingly put it recently in a letter to Congress supporting LSC's funding, the promise of justice must be real to all who seek it. Justice for only those who can afford it is neither justice for all nor justice at all. Well, you'll have to forgive me. You have to forgive me a personal reflection, because as we recognize anniversaries, 50 years ago, my father, Edward Levy, was sworn in as our nation's 71st Attorney General. My dad loved Colorado, and he brought us here many summers, even taught a class at the University of Colorado Law School during the summer of 1958. We lived at the top of Baseline Road in Boulder, and then at that time, this 10-year-old city kid reluctantly learned how to cross a stream in sneakers. And Dad was even an early trustee of the Aspen Institute, so I can't come to Colorado in this community without thinking of him. And as he concluded his service to our country as Attorney General, in his farewell address to the Department of Justice, he stirringly, in my view, observed that the values upon which our system of justice are founded can never be won for all time. They must always be won anew. Well, these past 51 years and 100 here in Colorado, LSC and its 130 grantees, they're doing their very best to try to win anew our nation's foundational promise of liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much, and thank you for all you're doing to help support equal access to justice here in Colorado and across our country.